Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to the Investor's Guide to Memphis Real Estate. My name is Dean Harris. As always, I'm with Douglas Skipworth. How are you, buddy?
Doing great.
Good. We are bringing you this podcast, guys, to give you the boots on the ground knowledge to be a successful real estate investor here in Memphis. You guys will see all of our info there at the bottom. Please subscribe and like to our YouTube channel here. Facebook, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can check us out there as well. The link tree is in our show notes as well, so you can click on there and you can catch us at any of those outlets. I also want to tell you guys that I help buyers, help sellers in the investment world here in Memphis. So if you've got a property you need to sell, you're looking to buy a property, please send me an email, dean@CrestCore.com. Today's show, we are going to dive into, for all of you wrestling fans, if you're my age, the NWO, the New World Order. Not quite as scary as it sounds.
Right.
So we're going to talk about the new world order, the new normal in the investment world. This is, I think what we're experiencing right now is here to stay.
Yeah.
That's going to be kind of our overview of talking of, I don't believe we're going to see a whole lot of changes. I feel like the pool that we're swimming in right now is going to be the one that we stay in for a hot minute. So rather than worry or have yourself be concerned about the rate or the market or the economy, to me, I always cut that off and shift over to, okay, let's just adjust.
Yeah, adapt.
Let's
adapt. That's right.
So if the rate's higher than what you're comfortable with, if the houses are cheaper or more or whatever that you're comfortable with, my suggestion to you is going to be to adjust. Adjust your mindset, adjust your processes that you're working with, adjust maybe the product. Adjust everything in order to conform, because people are buying houses. If you think that you're out there and you're going, hey, this interest rate's crazy, no one's buying houses, you're dead wrong. Now, not a ton of them are using loans. We've talked about different ways. You can use hard money or owner finance, whatever. We're talking about some different ways, but people are still buying houses. As of now, for the month of May, we're over 35 closings. Yeah. So that people are still investing in Memphis. They're just finding different ways to do it. So let's talk about that. What's the first thing? Like, to me, my first note was the rate is going to be what it is until election.
Sure. Another 18 months. No, there's going to be no dramatic. I think what you're saying is there's going to be no dramatic change. No. Barring World War III, barring some debt ceiling, U.S. goes off the financial cliff, which, Lord willing, neither of those are going to happen. Yep. Then things will be pretty much the same. I think it's a little bit like that boiling frog analogy. Mm-hmm. You remember that boiling frog analogy? Like if you get a pot of boiling water and you put a frog in there, the first thing that frog's going to do is jump out. That's right. But if you put a pot on the stove, lukewarm, you put the frog in there, he's swimming around, then you turn on the heat and it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. Supposedly the frog boils. And I think what we saw over the past year and a half was the boiling pot, man. Everybody jumped out. Yes. But now it's like, okay, you're getting in there. Nothing's going to change that dramatically. No. So figure out how to navigate, how to adapt, how to adjust, how to live in this environment. People did. It was a shocker. Not to me from I can't believe this. To the whole system. To the system. It's like, as soon as that rate went up, it was almost like we're opening these doors. You know what it reminded me of? You go to the airport, big airports, and you go ride those rails and the trains. And one door opens on this side, and then everybody gets out. Everybody goes out this side. And then it's empty for a minute. And then on the same side, more people come in, and then more people go out. That's exactly what late last year reminded me of. That's good. The first part of this year. Yeah. And so they all jumped out. Everybody jumped out. And it was that minute, which, on the tram or whatever, the shuttle thing, it's maybe 2 seconds, maybe 5 seconds, right? In our world, it was 90 days. It was exactly 90 days. That tram was empty. Yes. And then the doors opened and everybody got back in. And everybody came back in. That's a great analogy. For the last 3 months, that thing has stayed
constantly shuffling. I mean, not people going in and out, but it's just people have stayed in that, and the train is just continuing to keep moving.
Yes.
I mean, we're 3 months in a row over 27 deals.
That's in the brokerage. Memphis is still seeing 50 plus deals a day. Over 1,000 deals a month. I mean, people are buying property. People are selling property.
Right.
And as we know, the good thing about real estate is, and the stock market too, is like there's a willing seller and a willing buyer.
Always.
In that every transaction on real estate, you're seeing willing sellers and willing buyers.
So getting comfortable with this rate, if you're borrowing, is going to be something you're going to have to do. You might as well just figure it out. And you know the easiest, what I mean by that. Well, Dean, tell us. Well, the easiest thing is to lower your price point. Hey, the last 2 years, 150 to 250 hotcakes.
Yes.
Selling. You know how many I have over 150 now? Of those 30, whatever I told you about? 4. And they're under 170.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
170 is my highest.
Right. Yeah.
So like the majority, 80%, I would even say, of those, all these. All right, here you go. In the last 3 months, I bet we've sold 90 something homes, whatever, right at 90. 85% of those have been between 60 and 110,000.
You got the standard distribution, standard deviation curve, and you like the bell curve. You're like right in the majority are right in there. And then you get some out here on the tails, something really low or something really high, but the majority are in that.
Do you know how many the homes that I've bought in the last 6 months? The same price point.
Yeah, fair.
2 years before there, you know what they were? 150 to 220.
Yeah.
Why? Because the rates I bought at the time, you could afford them.
Yeah.
You have to adjust and shift. This rate is going to be here.
So
you might as well get used to it and figure out how.
Yeah.
Here's another point we'll make, and I think I've got these points coming.
Good.
Get settled and let's find ways to make deals happen and be creative. And what I mean by when I say get settled, is get settled with these conditions. Get settled with what's happening right now, because that's part of what we were just talking about. This is exactly how it's going to happen for me for the next 2 years. I don't just go 24 months, guys. Just go 24 months, because I mean, it's not like, election is going to happen in November of 24. Right. And in December, everything's going to be different. It's going to take you another few months after that.
Till the spring of 2025.
No matter who is in office. That to me,
so for the next 2 years, 24 months till 2025.
Yeah. So you might as well get a cut. Now, will they tick down from 8.5 to 8?
Right.
Okay, yeah. That's essentially the same rate. If you checked what that payment does, it isn't much difference, folks.
That's right.
The same rate.
That's our point. It's like, hey, it's going to fluctuate.
You'll toggle a little.
But it's not going to change
a ton.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's like a thermostat that it's going to stay within that 68 to 72. So the air's not going to continue to cut on and cut off.
No.
It's going to stay comfortable.
Yeah.
Quote comfortable, i.e., it's going to stay the same relatively to what we've been used to. So it's like, okay, for the next foreseeable future, this is the environment we're operating in. And that's the message you're trying to say today is like, this is the environment. Find a way to work with the environment.
I used this example yesterday about onion peeling, and when I talk about changing and doing things a little bit different, but there's more and more deals coming out. The more we're staying in this environment, and the more we're talking to clients, the more that onion is peeling, and the more we're getting into what's really happening with investors and their packages.
Yeah, their portfolios.
Yeah. We're seeing more and more packages of listings coming. I've told a lot of people this in June. I've got a guy that's wanting to list 20 something properties. He knows it's a plan.
That's right. Yeah, we talked about that.
And they're all in the 60 to 110,000 range. So get your, be ready.
Yeah.
Here this comes. So that's packages, mismanagement. You guys have all heard me say this, are all going to begin to surface right now.
Yeah.
The guy, what's going to happen with the package deals, he's going to have 10, let's say 6 of them are going to be performing pretty good. 4 of them are not. That's enough to drive the whole package into the toilet.
That's 60%.
That's enough to drive. Because not only is it not making money, but it's costing 60%. You money. Right. No, it's not like it's not, hey, they're just vacant and they're not costing me a dime. Yes, they are. They're costing you money too. So mismanagement is going to begin to surface.
Yeah.
They're now wanting what they can, they're now asking me to sell them for what they paid for them. Everybody wants their money back. But I've got a handful. Hey, Dean, here's the questions that start to surface. When do you think we can close, and when do you think the money will hit my account?
Ooh.
We're beginning to see it.
Yeah. And I think that from show sponsor CrestCore Property Management, I think they're seeing that from sellers.
Yes.
Property owners who are wanting to sell, just in the description you're saying.
Yeah.
Flip side, they're also seeing buyers, people coming in, knocking on the door, people who are getting into the game right now, getting into the business or adding to their portfolio because they followed your advice and they've got a strong portfolio of properties or they've got a strong couple of properties.
Yes.
And now they can take some chances with some opportunities as the opportunities present themselves.
They're able to find more. That's what I mean by peeling that onion, guys. You're able to find more and more and more opportunities. I'm sending out fewer homes, if this makes any sense.
Okay.
But they're better quality when I'm sending them out. I had a guy on the Zoom call yesterday or last week kind of challenge me a little bit. Hey, why every house that you send out is a hot property? That's what he asked me. I was like, that's a good question. I mean, it's valid.
Yeah.
Well, because every one that I'm taking the time to send to you guys right now works. So in a climate where it works, it's hot. That works.
Yes.
And right now, I think you would all sit and listen and say, hey, if you can pencil out a property right now on paper and it actually pencils, it works. Mm-hmm. So it's hot. That's a relative term, right? So, I mean, that's kind of what I mean by that. What I'm sending out is working. This will work for you right now. Go with this. So I'm trying to get the point across to state for all clients and buyers that in this environment right now, this is going to be what it is.
Yes.
If you're sitting there going, man, I'm going to wait a couple of months for something to change, well, you're going to just count on waiting 24 months.
For the buyer, right? Oh, yeah, things aren't going to change. For that other buyer. So, I mean, even this month of May 2023, there was a Wall Street Journal headline about apartment syndicators.
Okay.
Apartment syndicators went out and raised a bunch of money to buy big multi-unit properties. Not one investor buying a 12 unit or 20 unit. This is
thousands of units.
This is hundreds to thousands of units. This is, tens of millions of dollars in purchase price. But it's the same investor who's listening to this show.
Yep.
Who says, I could build my own portfolio of single family homes or small multifamily homes, be they duplexes, quadplexes, whatever, or small multifamily, 12 unit, whatever, or small commercial, $250,000 something, $500,000. Those investors are either doing it that way, or they say, "Oh, I'm going to go get part of a syndicate. I got $100,000. I got $50,000. I'm going to put in a syndicate." Long story short, these syndicates, some of them are blowing up because they did one of two things. They either borrowed on a floating rate, and so they started at 3%, and now they're borrowing at 8.5%, 9%.
Yep.
So their interest costs have tripled, doubled to tripled. So that it's crippling and it's blown them up. Or if they got in some of these loans, and we've talked about this ad nauseum 100 times, they're on a balloon payment that's coming due, and they were at 3%, and now they're at 8%. And so it's coming due, and what do? And there's a concern about the commercial with that. But anyway, that other than that commercially stuff, things are pretty solid.
That's right.
I say solid in the sense of we're on solid footing. Things aren't what's going to happen over the next 18, 12, 24 months.
And if you take time and peek your head up a little bit and look further back, 8% is not awful. I mean, you know what I mean?
No, it's not awful.
There's some things to consider.
And there are things that we talk about and have said that you date the rate. You date the rate and you marry the property so that you can lock in rates long-term, short-term, and then you can refinance.
Yeah.
We've talked about CoreLend as a show sponsor, CoreLend Financial. With hard money, it's the same thing. You can use it for 6 months. It's a higher rate. And then you can go lock in at a lower rate for the duration of the property or the loan or whatever you're trying to accomplish.
That's my message today is what you're really saying there is just adapt and adjust. And don't stay so one-track minded.
There you go.
I mean, because if you're going to stay one-track minded and you're only going to hope and wish for one thing, I think you're going to be ultra limited. You're going to be limited on success. You're going to be limited on opportunities. It's just going to limit you if you can't. I definitely am here to tell you as an investor that has been investing not as long as you, but I'm now on 8 years. When I first bought my first rental property, I am not doing things the same. I am not buying rental properties the same as I was in 2015. No. I'm not even buying them the same as I was 12 months ago. So don't feel like I'm coming on here and preaching some make a huge adjustment, do something crazy here. No, I'm going to tell you, if you're listening and you're going to listen to me for the oncoming years of doing this, because I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to tell you again, you're going to have to adjust again.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're not, when'd you buy your first rental? 2001?
2002. Okay. Yeah, 20 years.
Are you even remotely close to buying the same way you were then?
Oh, no.
Right.
No,
you're laughing at it because it's hysterical because we're no way.
And I think that said another way, it's like you have to have a clear vision, a specific concrete goal.
Yeah.
And then you got to have flexible plans.
Yeah.
You got to be able to adjust, adapt. I mean, I know everybody says it all the time. I feel like wanted to see what would happen if I did it, but everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right like Mike Tyson. Yeah. So just see what happens if I slap you. You adjust and you keep the show. If I did that, would the show keep going? Yeah, you'd be like, "What the? Okay." Yeah.
Well, we got more real estate to talk about.
So that's right. The point with that. It's like you just have to adapt, adjust. You got to be ready, be flexible, hold your plans. Hold a tight, firm grip on your goals. Be resolute
on that for sure.
But then hold a loose grip on your plans and how you're going to go about doing it because things change.
Always, the last point on this is connect with your banker. Make sure especially if you're borrowing, make sure you're talking about payments and rates and things so you're fully educated on because of the constant movement.
Yeah.
I memean, it's going to move. We're going to go up a tenth or whatever. We're going to go down an eighth. We're going to go up. I mean, it's going to continue to move around, but be in contact with your bankers, communicate with those guys on payments and rates and stuff.
Yeah, I would say, so I'm going to lunch with my banker in 2 days. So, because we had a show the other day and I was like, hey, when you getting with your banker? You do it. And I was like, well, I got to practice what I'm saying here. I want to make sure I'm going to lunch with my banker. So we're going. And I thought about rates and just object lesson, whether it's good or bad, kind of thinking about myself and what I've done over the past few years. And I saw... I just knew, like you just said, you said 8% historically is pretty good. Mm-hmm. So back in 2019, I had some debt and I put it on the portfolio at 2019 and I put it on there at 5.12%. Mm-hmm. At the time, it was about as high as it had been for a minute, but I locked it in for 10 years. Mm-hmm. Because I looked and I was like, historically, this is a good rate. And can rates go down a little bit more? And they did after that. But can they go up a lot more? And would I be in a lot bigger hurt? Yes. But that 10 years, you can have lots of conversations with your banker over that time and practice and think and plan for what. But I'm just dating that rate.
Because it's going to come up again.
It's going to come up again. And then in 2020, I had another opportunity with a personal residence, long story situation, but I was able to lock it in at 2.4% for 10 years. And so I was like, that is a good deal. I am locking that in as long as I can in this scenario because I know that's a really good deal.
That's right.
And then it's going to come up in 10 years and then we'll see what happens in that scenario. But the case and point being that when you see something that you can live with and it cash flows and the dollars make sense,
buy
it and lock it in and do whatever you need to do to lock it in and give yourself as long a period as you can when you can operate under those conditions. So like I knew I could operate under both of those conditions as long as I could, as long as the lender would let me on that maturity date.
And all of this comes from the communication.
It all comes from the communication. But also you and I know that if something changes dramatically in the near future, for example, if rates plummeted, then I could lock in again. I could roll out of those loans into those loans and just extend it on and keep it going.
That's right.
So, and if not, I've got 10 years to plan. I've got a really, 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 really long runway.
To make sure you're good.
And then you find a way. And it's like, they're all like the longer the runway, the better, right? So you have just all scenarios. Like you can put it when that's coming to maturity, you're like, do I need to Can I lock in at the same rate? Perfect.
Yeah.
Can I lock in at a lower rate? Even better. Have rates gone up? Okay, if rates have gone up, what do? Maybe I have to put down a little money.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to sell some of those properties.
Maybe
I have to take in a partner. There's a million different ways, and the longer the runway you have to make a decision, the better your decisions. If you got one decision, that's not a decision. If you got two decisions, what do you do? If you got more than three decisions, then you can make the best choice.
Yes, you can.
So the longer the runway, the better.
Adapting. All this is adjusting and adapting and making yourself comfortable.
Yes.
And kudos to you, because now that 5.125 is looking great.
It feels good. It feels really good.
Looking great, knowing that you've locked that up. I mean, what you had 1 year there where you're like, it's a little lower. And now all of a sudden it's like, I'm 3.5 points better than what everyone else is right now.
And I feel good.
And you feel great.
And I still got a long runway to figure out what the future holds.
My message today is just this is what we're under now. This is going to be our playing field, in my opinion, for 24 months. So get used to it. If you guys have any questions, anything to talk about today's market or economy, shoot me an email, dean@crestcore.com. We have got tomorrow, which would be Thursday, the 25th, 2 p.m. I'll have the weekly Zoom call. Email me for the invite to that. And again, the link tree is in our show notes, so you can catch everything there. Anything else for today?
That's awesome.
Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.